In the journey of Zariah, Nia, and now Layla, the story begins to branch into legacy, reconciliation, and spiritual identity. Part 6. The House on Peoria Street. Inspired by Matthew chapter 10 verses 34 through 36. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a person's enemies will be those of his own household. Scene 1. Returning home, Nia's reckoning. The sky was heavy over Peoria Street when Nia stepped out of the car. The smell of jasmine from her mother's garden mixed with old incense burned inside the house. Zariah walked beside her, praying silently. She's going to see it as betrayal, Nia whispered. But I'm not here to fight, I'm here to free. Inside, the living room still had the same green walls, family portraits, and the altar by the window. Candles. Ancestor names written on folded paper. A Bible lay open, next to a bowl of water and ash. Her mother, Miss Janice, sat in a recliner wrapped in her shawl. She didn't smile. "You been meddling," Janice said flatly, her eyes flicking to Zariah. "Teaching my daughter to forget who she is." "No ma'am," Zariah said gently. "I'm reminding her who she belongs to, God." Nia stepped forward. "Mama, I'm not ashamed of our roots. But I can't keep mixing them with Jesus. The spirits we called on weren't always who they said they were." Janice's face tensed. "That altar saved this family," she spat. "It protected us when nobody else did. My mother bled to keep us alive. You think your little prayers can replace that?" Nia didn't argue. She just reached into her purse and pulled out a new item, her journal, filled with scriptures, dreams, and the night of Layla's deliverance. She set it gently on the table. "I'm not rejecting you, Mama. But I'm choosing truth over tradition. I love you, but I can't bow to your altar anymore." A silence passed that felt like eternity. Then Janice said softly, "You remind me of my mother when she started to hear the Spirit. Before fear took over and she went back to the old ways." Scene 2. Layla's calling. Meanwhile, back at the church, Layla sat in the youth room holding her grandmother's Bible. It was worn, pages marked with oil stains and ash fingerprints. But between Isaiah and Jeremiah was a letter she'd never seen before. It was from her grandmother, written in shaky cursive. "If you find this, it means you've been chosen to see both paths, the old ways, and the true way. I only knew power through ritual. But if you ever hear of a power that speaks through love, follow it. He'll call you by name." Tears fell as Layla clutched the letter. "I'm not just breaking curses," she whispered. "I'm the one called to rebuild." Pastor Miles walked in then, drawn by the Spirit. He had seen 1,000 tormented youth. But Layla's eyes now had clarity. "You ready to serve?" he asked. "No," she said, wiping tears. "But I'm ready to be made ready. I think God's calling me to teach the true word." Scene 3. A seed in the soil. Back on Peoria Street, Nia sat alone on the porch as night fell. Janice hadn't burned the journal. But she hadn't embraced it either. She didn't slam the door, Nia said to Zariah, who had stayed in the car to give space. "That's a start." Zariah nodded. Sometimes, planting the seed is the most powerful act of war. Suddenly, Nia's phone buzzed. "Layla, I found a letter from my grandma." She knew. God had been reaching us before we ever knew it. "I think I want to learn how to teach, Miss Nia. Can I talk to you and Zariah tomorrow?" Lesson. When we confront generational darkness, it's not always about destroying the past, it's about discerning what came from God, and what came from fear disguised as love. And sometimes, the ones we think we're leaving behind will quietly begin their own journey to truth. Message. Healing our family lines may start with heartbreaks. But with the Word of God, they can end in holy legacy. We're not called to be keepers of old altars. We are called to be the restorers of ruined temples, the voices crying out, preparing the way of the Lord.